23 ABC News is brought to you in high definition by BMW of Bakersfield. Purchase or lease a new BMW today and receive full maintenance at no additional cost. The station that covers Kern County, 23 ABC News at 11.
And thanks for choosing 23 ABC News at 11. I'm Jackie Parks.
And I'm Tim Callahan. One man is dead and another in critical condition after a motorcycle accident happened that investigators say could have been avoided. The CHP says a motorcycle was traveling east on Bell Terrace at up to speeds of 80 miles an hour when he tried to pass a car that was making a legal left-hand turn onto Loch Lomond Drive. The motorcycle collided with the car and clipped another. And the operator of that motorcycle has been identified as 20-year-old Joshua Bencoma. He was pronounced dead at the scene. His passenger was transported to the hospital with major injuries. And the CHP says it didn't have to happen.
There's double yellow lines. It's a two-lane divided roadway by double yellow lines. The operator of the car was doing everything right. He was making a left turn, legal left turn. The motorcyclist was passing over the double yellows at a high rate of speed and collided into the vehicle.
I was thinking this guy is driving very fast. So when I was thinking that's what happened. I don't have time. It was happening in less than five seconds.
The driver was detained for leaving the scene of the accident and for suspicion of driving under the influence, but he has not been charged. Investigators say the driver parked the car with visible damage there at a relative's house nearby. Well, speaking of drinking and driving, the district attorney's office has received almost $500,000 to prosecute the most serious DUI cases. But it likely won't mean more jail time for DUI drivers. The money will fund a special prosecution team that will focus on DUIs where someone was hurt or killed. It's one of only a handful of prosecution teams like it in the state. This is the 4th year for the program, and in that time, the small team has prosecuted 450 cases.
The last 3 years, we had over 40 people killed in cases we prosecuted.
The DA says because of AB 109, most offenders don't receive a harsh punishment. It's only if someone is killed or seriously injured when offenders are sent to prison.
The man accused of shooting and killing his grandmother remains in jail tonight on a $1.5 million bond as new details are being released about the case. According to police records, 19-year-old Dylan McNabb walked into the home on Mohican Drive in Northwest Bakersfield and reached for a hunting rifle that was sitting in the living room. Investigators say McNabb pointed the firearm at his 78-year-old grandmother, Imogene McNabb, shooting her in the face. Dylan McNabb admitted to police he was under the influence of bath salts during the incident. After he told police he shot his grandmother, McNabb walked into his father's bedroom and leaned the firearm against the wall before leaving the home. Now, Bakersfield police say McNabb's father, Lewis, owns the gun used in the deadly shooting, but failed to register it. 23 ABC's Carlos Correa is live at the scene of Second Amendment Sports Now, where advocates are strongly urging gun owners to keep their firearms properly stored at all times. Carlos?
Well, you know, safety is a top priority, and when people leave these doors with their purchases, they're also reminded about the importance of being a responsible gun owner. Bakersfield mother Lisa DeWall knows the dangers of owning a firearm and the steps needed to keep her children away from unlocked guns.
It's very important to keep it safe. That way your kids don't get into it.
There are a number of measures people can take to keep their weapons from ending up in the wrong hands.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say it's a 10. You need to keep it locked up, keep it safe. That way there's no accidents.
The state of California Department of Justice says guns and ammunition should always be stored separately when the firearm is not in use.
We're talking about like a defensive handgun. We advocate keeping it on your person, underneath your personal control. If it's not going to be underneath your personal control, maybe having it set up in a quick acquisition lockbox so you can still get quick access to that.
The department urges owners of firearms to use trigger locks or cable locks to prevent guns from being fired by accident.
When my kids were little, I mean, my defensive handgun was on my person so I could protect my family at home in case we had a home invasion type situation. But all firearms that were not underneath my personal control were locked up and stored in the gun safe proper.
Gun advocates urge people who purchase a firearm to properly learn how to use it before making a fatal mistake.
I don't want anybody getting hurt. You know, actually can happen. Here at Second Amendment, they have a saying, and it's true, even if your gun's not loaded, you treat it like it's loaded.
Now, a person may be charged with a crime if he or she keeps a fully loaded weapon that somehow ends up in the hands of a child who then takes that gun to a public place or causes harm. Live at 11, Carlos Correa, 23 ABC.
All right, Carlos, thank you. Statewide, Governor Brown signed 11 gun control bills into law and vetoed 7. Many pro-gun advocates say the signing of the gun control bills is an infringement on their right to bear and keep arms. 2013 has been a year riddled with gun violence across the nation, and it spurred dozens of gun control bills here in California. One bill recently signed into law bans the use of lead ammunition in hunting by 2019, causing problems for hunters. And one bill recently vetoed would have added semi-automatic rifles with detachable magazines to the state's list of banned assault weapons. And while gun advocates are happy with the vetoes, they are not happy with all of the governor's decisions.
The fact of the matter is the 6 bills that he did sign are significant infringements on the right to keep and bear arms. And every time you chip away at the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, it is a very painful thing.
Paredes says he and other gun advocates will prepare their fight against other gun control bills that are expected to be introduced next year.
Here's Colin Jackson now with our first check on the forecast.
Hey, was today nice enough? Tomorrow will be the same because there's nothing coming that can get us. These storms are potent out to our west, but I mean, this is in the middle of the Pacific. And the entire state, including Oregon, is doing great. Nice overnight lows in the 50s, highs in the 80s, and right now, we've got already 54 in Porterville, but we're at 65. Interesting, huh? 48 in Tehachapi, and we've got 53 at Fraser Park. So the temperatures are all over the place. Tomorrow morning, 7:30, we're looking at 58 in our area for the kids, and at 3 o'clock, we're looking at 81. Not bad for this time of year. Enjoy the weather ride. It looks awfully good in that 7-day forecast. That's coming up next. Back to you.
All right, Colin, thank you. Surveillance video from an AM/PM in Delano shows a mother who has been missing for nearly a week. Delano police confirmed the woman in this video is Erica Lango, who's been missing since Wednesday. She arrived with a man police identified as her husband, Julio Lango. She walks around the store for a few minutes and purchases a few items before she gets back into the SUV with her husband. Julio Lango was charged with spousal abuse and assault in late September, and family members said Julio had been arrested for hitting Erica before, and there was a restraining order against Julio at the time of her disappearance.
If you're planning on using the West Side Parkway tomorrow, be ready for some construction delays. Crews will be working on the westbound Coffee Road off-ramp on the parkway starting Wednesday. The outside lane on the off-ramp will be closed between 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. You'll still be able to use the inside lane while the work is being done, but be aware of workers and equipment in the area.
All right, well, the clock is ticking down, but the standoff continues. Why the latest attempt to get the government up and running fell flat.
Plus, running low on water, California could be headed for another drought. Coming up, how you could help conserve and get a break on your water bill.
Welcome back. Time is running out for the government to take action before it reaches its credit limit on Thursday. And tonight, the House canceled a vote to reopen the government. Karen Travers has the latest developments from Washington.
It was a day of wheels spinning on Capitol Hill, and after it was all said and done, it was back to square one. Earlier today, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid was optimistic.
We've been engaged in productive, bipartisan negotiations in the Senate.
And now the best chance for avoiding a default and reopening the government rests in the Senate. Reid and Minority Leader Mitch McConnell continue to work on a bipartisan deal that would reopen the government, but only until January 15th, avoid a default by extending the nation's credit limit, but only until February 7th. And here's the key: no major changes to the health care law. House Republicans tried to develop an alternative plan that included tweaks to Obamacare, but it died this evening before it even came up for a vote. Tea Party Republicans opposed it because it didn't go far enough. In an interview today with ABC station WABC, President Obama said there have been times when he and Speaker Boehner have agreed.
Then he goes back, and it turns out that he can't control his caucus.
But the president was optimistic that the Senate would avert a crisis.
What we've seen on amongst Senate Democrats and Republicans is a recognition that there are ways for us to do this that doesn't damage the economy.
Wall Street is worried. The markets were down at closing today, and tonight a credit rating agency said that the USA's AAA credit rating is now under review for a possible downgrade. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Well, from shutdown madness in Washington to right here in California. Coming up next, how the public is fighting back against the government for closing down our parks.
And then later on, Jimmy Kimmel.
Thanks. Tonight we have music from Ariana Grande, Julianne Hough is with us, and from Bad Grandpa, Jackson Nickel and Johnny Knoxville are here.
You're darn tootin' we are.
Please, Johnny, language, not in front of the kid.
Oh, sorry.
Bullying is the most common form of violence in schools all across America. And even though October is considered Bullying Prevention Month, not everyone is seeing a decline in violence. 12-year-old Kyle Ramos is a 7th grader at Standard Middle School in Oildale. And Kyle told 23 ABC that he has struggled with bullying for more than a year now. His mom says she tried talking to the school about the problem, but she says the school's not doing enough. So now she's considering homeschooling her son.
I'm in middle school. I go to 7th grade, and I love it, but I just get bullied all the time. I just don't want to go to school because I always get yelled at by teachers because of my bullying. Like, they get mad at me for complaining. I guess complaining because I'm getting bullied, and they always get mad at me when I'm actually the victim.
When 23 ABC contacted Standard Middle School, they declined to talk about the incident on camera, but did say the bullying incident was mutual and assured us that they addressed the incident in the best interest of both students.
A dirt field in Oildale that was a faith-based group transformed into a community park is in danger of being shut down. Operation Soul Winner has been using the lot for the past 3 years, but their conditional use permit has expired and they need to catch up and come up with $4,000 by the end of the month. The group has hosted dozens of events there, and many residents say they are grateful for the ministry's transformation of the field as well as the community. The organizer, Ray Ballard, says they were caught off guard by the high dollar amount of the renewal fee.
We're funded by the generosity and the compassion of people in our community, so we don't have a great deal of funds.
This is a necessity. This neighborhood is in crisis, and without something like this, these kids haven't got a prayer.
And if you would like to help the Salvation Park, just head to our website, turn23.com, and click on the link for this story.
Weather's so nice. You know, we try and predict and control the weather all summer, but we're just no good at it until we get to October. And then we're really good at it. 80s and overnight lows in the 50s. High pressure is the reason why. That's the marine layer. It is several hundred miles offshore. The coast has been great, and interior is great too. There are storms out here in the Pacific, but they will rise and catch the jet stream that's racing toward Alaska. So no big weather concerns here. The major concerns are east of the Great Lakes and what Texas has been going through. We talked about this yesterday. Austin downtown in the heartland of the city got a foot of rain on Saturday night, and there's more on the way, with a big frontal boundary walking through Dallas as we speak. 65 is what we've got. It's a gorgeous night, really. I mean, this is nice weather. We're about exactly the same as we were last night at this time, so that's nice to know, too. 54 in Porterville, 48 in Tehachapi, 52 up at the lake, and not that cold at Lebec either, in the mid-50s. Wind speeds, not much here, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tehachapi and Mojave, we're expecting a northeast wind to develop overnight, and it could be gusting to around 20, 30 miles per hour. We'll wait and see if that happens. 81 was the high today, right around average. 52 was the low, right around average as well. And other spots, we're all the same. 80 to 83 degrees, the highs, and 66 in Tehachapi. Warmer in the Southland. Look at Santa Barbara, got to 85 today, and that's hot for them, especially in October. 76 San Diego, it was 86 in downtown LA. But interestingly, Palm Springs only got to 88, so the weather is kind of all over the place. So this little area of low pressure scooting to the eastern side of us is what's expected to generate some wind tonight. But for now, it hasn't happened yet. But the models are still hinting at an easterly flow continuing for tomorrow, and that'll keep us in that 80 to 85 degree range. By the time we get to Thursday, the winds turn a little northerly, so we'll drop off to around 80, but that's still nice weather for this time of year. Most locations down to 50 tonight. Bakersfield 53, 47 in Porterville, and a northeast wind overnight around 10 to 15 miles per hour. But not everyone will feel that. The further away you are from the mountains, the more wind you'll see. 32 in Glenville, bundle up. 47 at Lake Isabella, and upper 30s from Tehachapi all the way over to Fraser Park. In the deserts, overnight lows will be nice and crisp, upper 30s to low mid 40s for Ridgecrest will be the warmer spot. Tomorrow winds northeast at 20 to 25 miles per hour, but they won't last all day, and we'll have highs very nice, upper 70s to the mid 80s. In the mountains, temperatures look good here too, rebounding into the mid 70s for Lake Isabella and Kernville, low 70s. To Hatchby Fraser Park, you're going for the same. You're both racing to 67 degrees. On the valley floor, get ready for another nice one. 80 to 85. Isn't that great? Northeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. 83, sunny, a little breezy, but we can handle it. The 7-day forecast. Oh, wouldn't this be nice in July or August?
Yes.
We can keep dreaming. So just living the dream is what we're doing.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Low to 80s for the next 7 days.
All right, we'll take that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Colin.
Okay.
Covering California now, for nearly 2 weeks during the government shutdown, the lower Santa Ynez recreation areas have been closed and off limits to the public. But the locked gates and barricades haven't stopped some who want to enjoy the great outdoors, and although that could cost them. People visiting the parks have been disappointed to see the closed signs, and some haven't let that stand in their way. But if locks don't deter them, tickets might. A fine for just one person can be up to $5,000 for entering the restricted areas.
Just us and one guy on a moped. They could get around the gate. This was frustrating because we didn't know. I mean, I don't think we put two and two together that it was the federal park.
It's not clear if the Forest Service cited anyone since their office is also closed during the shutdown. Rangers are working though, and if they find people behind the gates, they could hand out that hefty fine. The state could be headed for another drought, and state officials are sending out a warning for residents to conserve. Experts say a lack of rainfall and increased usage have created a water shortage and potential drought conditions. The past 2 consecutive years have been the driest on record, and some water districts are offering subsidies to those who use water-saving devices like efficient toilets, sprinklers, and shower heads. Typically, about half of a household's water use is concentrated outside, so officials are urging everyone to switch to native plants that don't require as much water.
What happens if we don't do that? Then it becomes unsustainable, and we have to start looking at different approaches. Are we going to have mandatory rationing? Are we going to have sorts of draconian penalties? So if we can encourage people to do this voluntarily, that's going to be the best approach.
California depends on the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta to provide fresh water for more than 25 million Californians. The Delta also provides most of the water to California's agricultural industry. The Supreme Court decided they will not stop an order requiring the state to cut its prison population by thousands of inmates. The justices did not comment on the order, which leaves in place the earlier ruling requiring California to reduce its prison population by an additional 9,600 inmates. The reduction is meant to improve medical and mental health treatment. At the heart of the case is a 2001 lawsuit filed on behalf of inmates who claimed medical treatment in the prisons was so poor that it was leading to 1 death per week through neglect or malpractice.
A new agreement will have Californians paying $19 million a year more to finance Amtrak service. The 19-state agreement announced today puts the state in compliance with the Federal Passenger Rail Investment and Improvement Act of 2008. The law requires states to pay about 85% of Amtrak's operating costs of their state routes. A spokesman for the California Department of Transportation says that means California will now pay about $109 million a year to operate its 3 interstate routes. That's up from about $90 million before the agreement. Well, covered California officials have admitted that they may have released their online directory of doctors and hospitals a bit too early. The state's health insurance marketplace released the list of last week after open enrollment for its version of the federal health care overhaul. However, California removed the directory after just 1 day, and after it was discovered and it was plagued by inaccuracies and sluggish performance. Covered California Executive Director Peter Lee said the directory never should have been launched.
Well, kisses for a cause. Why they were puckering up and planting their lip prints in the Southwest tonight.
Wow.
Well, firefighters and women from all over Kern County came out tonight to celebrate Links for Life's 7th annual Kisses for Firefighters fundraiser. And the way it works is breast cancer survivors and other local women leave their lip impressions on a pink piece of paper. And then all the papers are posted on a mannequin, and firefighters get to judge who has the best kisser. Links for Life is an organization that helps women who are fighting breast cancer by offering support, free mammograms, and even a wig boutique.
Without Links for Life, it would have been much more difficult to go through breast cancer and breast cancer treatment because I would have felt a lot more alone. With Links for Life, I was able to meet other survivors who were going through similar struggles.
The event was held at Victoria's in the Marketplace, and this year's lucky winner was Jill Cannon.
Pretty cool stuff. Well, to protect and serve, it's the mantra that every police officer lives by, and when one loses his life, the law enforcement community comes together to take care of the family they left behind. Tips for Chips is a fundraiser where you can enjoy lunch while raising money for families who lost their hero. Michelle Friebel is one of hundreds of people who have raised money for the CHP's Widow and Orphan Trust Fund. Friebel lost her husband, a CHP officer, in August. Now her and her three children are just trying to carry on without him.
It would be a struggle, a big struggle. That's one thing I really haven't had to worry about right now is finances, and that's a great burden relieved off of me.
Friebel says their law enforcement family has been there every step of the way. And if you'd like to help, again, the Tips for Chips event is going on tomorrow from 11 to 2 at the Outback Steakhouse on Stockdale Highway. Tickets just $25, and the money raised helps that fund we mentioned, the CHP Widow and Orphan Fund. You'll be served by the officers themselves, including the CHP Commissioner. A great cause.
Yes. Well, no tongue, no ears, no problem. That's the mantra for one local dog who hasn't let anything slow him down. This adorable pup is now living the life that he one day could have only dreamed of. Hooch, who had his ears and tongue cut off, is now living at Marley's Mutts Ranch. From playing with his roommates to eating somewhat normally, Hooch has quickly learned what it's like to be a real dog. Hooch is setting a great example, too, that you can teach an old dog new tricks.
His injury might be very, shocking and grotesque. How he's dealing with it and how he's approaching life is beautiful.
Hooch the Pooch, who has gone through a very difficult life, continues to spread his love and teach others what's truly important.
And I've met Hooch in person. He's amazing.
Yes,
so much
great,
character.
great attitude.
Yeah, just loves it.
Right.
Well, the rare creature, another creature to talk about in the sea, discovered by a snorkeler. We'll give you a close-up look and tell you why this so-called fish is considered to be a source of ancient sea legends. Finally, here at 11, a marine science instructor spotted something straight out of a fantasy novel while snorkeling off the coast of Catalina Island. Take a look at this. It's a carcass of a rare 18-foot long oarfish. It took 15 adults to drag the oarfish to shore. The body was almost perfectly intact, and it has appeared to have died naturally. Oarfish are believed to live in waters more than 3,000 feet deep. Wow, the giant oarfish is the longest boned fish species and can reach lengths up to 56 feet. 56 feet? Wow, they are likely responsible for sea serpent legends throughout history. Imagine swimming up
give
next
you the
to that.
heebie-jeebies, yeah, coming up on that.
What's that up against your leg?
Yeah, nice.
That's a 15-foot fish.
Well, actually, it's 56 feet. Nice day tomorrow. Low 80s again.
Beautiful.
We'll take that. Thanks, Colin. That's going to do it for us here at 11. Thanks for joining us tonight. Jimmy Kimmel is coming up next.
Good night.